Yes, welcome back. If you're a Liverpool fan, you'll be very happy because they've made it through to the Champions League final. They've lost tonight to Roma by 4-2, but going through on aggregate by 7-6, the highest number of goals in a Champions League semi-final ever. But an amazing second half, Eamon. And where do you start? I suppose, look, headline is Liverpool have made it through, but there's an awful lot more to that second half.
Yeah, I mean, the headline is that Liverpool are in the final of the Champions League against Real Madrid, which is fantastic news for a great club. And I'm very happy that they're there. The way they tried to go about the job tonight was, you know, I mean, you just need a goalkeeper. They don't have one. You need 2 good central defenders. They've only got 1. Give 4 goals away to Roma in those circumstances. There could be arguably 2 penalties that Roma didn't get. So they don't really know how to manage a game. Don't like to start off with criticism, but really, they've broken a record tonight. It will always be interesting, and they have great forwards. Like the 3 forwards, they got Milner and Henderson, who are really good pros and get the job done. He just needs to get a couple of defenders. He needs depth in the squad. No one on the bench. Now, yeah, this is the time to look at yourself critically. You're in the Champions League final. You want to keep that standard. You've set a bar for yourself, right? Now, there's a lot of things that need to be done with that team. But what they have got is massive talent, and they're very exciting when they have the ball. But I'm looking forward to the final. But Roma got 4 goals. And, you know, that was the target. Could they get 3? They actually got 4. And they had at least 1 good penalty disallowed, and arguably 2 penalties disallowed. So, as someone who's actually a Liverpool fan and loves good football, I'm delighted they're going to be in Kiev and they won't let themselves down. But I hope they build on this and improve, because there was a lot to be improved upon.
Yeah, but in terms of, like, they're 90 minutes away from winning this thing, Richie. Like, you know, sure, he has work to do in the training ground, but, like, he can't change his goalkeeper in 3.5 weeks. He'll have Lovren beside Van Dijk in the final against Real Madrid. And in a one-off game, somebody said to me earlier on, maybe 7-6 will be the score in the final. I don't know. We'd settle for something like that, but...
Yeah, I watched Real Madrid last night and I thought that they got to the final in a way that would give encouragement to whoever wins tonight's tie, and I think Liverpool won tonight's tie in a way that gave huge encouragement to Real Madrid. Eamon's right. I mean, we should be sitting here just promoting the fact and praising them for getting to a final of a competition like this, which is a phenomenal achievement. I don't think they would have set that as a target at the start of the season, but there were so many elements, particularly in the second half, that would... I don't know what it's like being a Liverpool fan. It must be so exciting, but so nerve-wracking and infuriating and anxiety-provoking, all those things. Because right up, even 15 minutes to go, they were 3 ahead, and you're still sitting there going, I'm not comfortable here. You're watching me thinking...
No, absolutely. And looking, Liam, on Twitter from Liverpool fans who I know, and others as well, they were talking about 7-4, the aggregate score at the time, as the most dangerous lead in football. So where does that tension come from? And why did Liverpool give them so many chances tonight?
It comes from... their experience this season, and maybe going back last season, of their defence. They know that their defence can collapse at any minute, and they very nearly did tonight. Over the course of the season, I think they've been great. They've looked like they're going to qualify for the Champions League by their league place. They've been amazing, the amount of goals they've scored. The 3 lads up front are absolutely brilliant. Against Roma at Anfield, they were unbelievable at certain stages of the game. They've been great value, but Eamon's absolutely right. They need to build on this, and if you're going to analyse it forensically, the goalkeeper is not going to be good enough to keep them at the top. Lovren is not going to be good enough to keep them at the top, and they were 2 players we singled out before the match that they could have a problem with, and they definitely had a problem with them. The young boy, Trent Alexander, I think you can put that down to inexperience and maybe a bit of nerves, you know, or a lot of nerves, should I say. He had a poor game tonight. But they're there, and we should be celebrating them. And let's remember all the good things they did. They could have scored 3 or 4 themselves tonight.
Sure.
They weren't at their brilliant best going forward, but they certainly were at their worst defending.
And Eamon, just another point. You know, we mentioned about teams with these 3-goal leads. Like, you know, did they get stuck in that again from the start of the match, half-time? We have this 3-goal cushion.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do?
No, absolutely. We've seen Real Madrid fall into that trap. And Barcelona fell into the same trap. It is psychologically difficult, unless you've got vast experience in your camp, to know how to approach a 90-minute game when you start with a 3-goal advantage. Do you push forward and go for more, which is what you do perhaps naturally, or do you respond to the fear inside and the caution, particularly in the Champions League semi-final, the caution, and say, we have it. And that's the trap you can fall into, whereas your opponents have nothing to lose, so they've no decision to make. They go for everything. And that just comes with experience. But if you go back through the Liverpool side with Ronnie Whelan in it, the sides with Graham Souness, Kenny Dalglish and Rush in them, there'd be no doubt what the score would have been tonight. 0-0. Because they went there with a 3-goal. Now, this team can't do that. And maybe in the modern game you couldn't find players to do that. But that would have been the score. And if Antonio Conte had taken Chelsea there, Liam, I think it would have been 0-0 as well.
Yeah, you said it earlier on. They don't manage the game. They don't manage. And I think it all stems from panic at the back, players that panic at the back. And in the goalkeeper, Lovren and Trent Alexander, I know he's a kid, but that was the case tonight.
OK. Let's start to have a look at all the things that happened in the second half of that match, and this is going to take a while. We'll start with Dzeko's goal, which made it 2-2. Very muted celebration from him. It was after, what, 52 minutes?
I think 3 of the players Liam just mentioned picked out for criticism were all at fault in the build-up to this goal. Karius' handling there, you could criticise him, but Alexander-Arnold just lunged in there, didn't win the ball. Lovren there is backing away. He doesn't want to make a challenge, but he's backing away too far. A player advancing into your box shouldn't have that much space to decide what to do. And Karius, in making a fairly routine save, should have put it well away from the area.
He should have tipped it round for a corner.
Yeah,
Ronnie said that. That's a little fingertip for experience. Out for a corner, we defend the corner. Instead of that, he's parried it straight down to Dzeko. I saw Van Dijk go, what are you doing? You know, they can't... You know, you can't have a goalkeeper like that if you want to stay at the very, very top.
A good amateur team, and in England or in Ireland, a goalkeeper of experience would know what to do with that. You push it wide, you push it out for safety, and you regroup. And
yet this guy's going to be playing the Champions League final in 3.5 weeks' time.
That's the point.
Yeah.
And Trent Alexander-Arnold had a nightmare again tonight. Now, he's a promising young player. He was probably
good
very
going
nervous.
forward, Eamon.
And he's very, very good going forward. But he was really a liability tonight. So that shouldn't be there. And you don't often get the chance to go to a Champions League final. But it'll be fascinating because they're brilliant in certain phases of the game and they're very, very poor. It's highly unusual to have 3 of your back 5 defenders really poor players.
It's just as well they got Van Dijk at Christmas.
Yeah. Worth every penny, 75
Yeah,
mil.
without doubt. I don't think they'd be in the Champions League final if he wasn't there.
He's made that big a difference. Let's look at Nangolan's goal, Eamon. This was 4 minutes from the end. Of course, he had that mistake in the first half that gifted the opening goal.
He didn't shirk it. He kept working. They kept working. I wouldn't fault them. And really, this is a keeper again. He doesn't even dive. Now, at first I thought it was an unstoppable shot. Liam thinks the keeper should have done better. Maybe it was an unstoppable shot. What do you think, guys?
I think the precision there went right in off the post. I wouldn't be too critical of Karius on that one.
Yeah, but a good goalkeeper dives. He tries to get to the ball, Richie. He didn't even go for it. You know, he looked a novice in goal tonight, that lad. He did well coming for the ball, and he did collect, because as Eamon said, Roma went for a lot of crosses, a lot of direct football, and he did, some of his handling was very good, but some of the crucial stuff, those 2 goals, I think he was at fault for. The first goal, the Dzeko and the Nangolan, I would put them down to him.
Just to put a bit more context on this, in the Real Madrid-Bayern Munich matches, last night and last week, there were also dozens of chances. I think Bayern Munich had 14 chances last night. So the world has no defenders. The world of soccer is bereft of defenders.
Well, for neutrals, that leads to
we've had some Champions League this year, haven't we, Dara? We really have. The amount of goals we've seen.
Well, Liverpool, the record goal scorers in a single campaign. We're going to see Roma now. Now we're going to talk penalties because, well, the Clavan one. Have a look at this, Liam.
Well, I thought this was harsh. I don't think his defending was good in the first instance. It was a long ball from Kolarov, and he gets caught underneath it. But I don't think he can do a lot about that. And I think the two penalty incidents that we're going to show later will be much more clearer that there were penalties. I thought that was harsh. Perhaps because the referee hadn't give the ones before he gave that one. And you know, the game was over then. He was always going to blow the whistle once the ball went in the net. But Nainggolan did well. He smashed it in. No, I thought that was harsh, but perhaps he gave it because of what went on before.
All right, well, let's look at these two significant shouts, we'll call them, Richie, for Roma penalties. The Dzeko offside, was he?
Yeah, we've seen the replay. We've seen the line is there. He's clearly onside. It's a marginal call, but he is onside. So the linesman got that wrong, and you can see here, Karius pulls him down in the box. That's a penalty kick. So they got away with it there slightly by an incorrect call by the assistant referee. This is a ball then delivered into the box. I mean, so many times just they panic when the ball goes in there. And you can see a replay here. Alexander-Arnold's hands are up in the air. Clearly it's ball to hand, but it's... I mean, Bayern Munich came away from last night complaining as well that they didn't get a penalty kick. Similar scenario when it hit Marcello's hand. You don't always get them, but the referee got them wrong. They should have had two penalty kicks.
Very badly wrong. They were both penalties. And it isn't just the referee, there's a guy standing...
Well, I suppose you can say on the first one, I suppose you can say, well, the referee didn't have a decision to make because he was given offside.
The assistant referee let him down.
Let's have a look at... Well, there was a lot of... You know, we talked at half-time about Roma not having a single shot on target. They had 7 scoring attempts. I think the end of the match up 23-24. So, like, Karius and his defence at times were under siege because, well, as you said, Roma had nothing to lose. They were just firing everything at them.
They were, and Liverpool had stopped punishing them at that stage with good counter-attacks. I mean, that was a real chance. You know, again here... you know, it's...
Look, panic game.
Alexander-Arnold, that's the penalty. We've just seen the penalty appeal, and it was a penalty. His hands should not be up there, and that's a penalty, clear-cut.
But his clearance earlier on showed his inexperience there. He panicked. A cooler player just gets that away, but he panicked. A bit like Lovren did on the first goal. And here we are again. Karius is throwing himself on the ground. There was real panic in that Liverpool team, and the only one was Van Dijk, who was trying to keep it. Look, he's onside there. He could score again, Dzeko.
What they needed at this stage in the game, Liverpool, is when they had possession of the ball to just make 5 or 6 passes and take the heat out of the game. That's how you do it. And that's what they didn't have. They needed someone in midfield who could string a few passes together. A playmaker, really...
Like as soon as in the heyday, and like soon as years ago,
someone just takes the heat out of the game. We're in control here, and that's the problem. All the time you're not in control, the opposition can smell it. That you're not in control, you're not comfortable. They're not having to work hard to get the ball back, so they can be constantly on the offensive, and that's what we had tonight. And it comes down to individual characters in the side. Van Dijk, okay, at the back. He's a calming influence. But who's the calming influence in midfield? Nobody tonight.
Well, you would have expected that. That's Henderson,
you would
Milner
expect
as experienced sort of senior players.
Yeah, but they didn't have it. I think...
I suppose the Champions League semi-final, there's always going to be that tension. We're nearly there. We've done our business at Anfield. But they didn't manage the game at all well tonight.
But, you know, we are... being very, very critical because this is the Champions League and they're going to play Real Madrid, which is brilliant. But there's a bar of expectation. But we'll see the Real Madrid game in a few minutes and you'll see that Real Madrid...
limped over.
They fell over the line. And really, Bayern Munich should probably be the team in the final. But Bayern Munich have problems at the back. So it's a great day for Liverpool Football Club. It really, really is.
Yeah, and let's remember
and for
the
some
three
really
guys
good
up front.
pros.
Yeah,
I mean, for people like Henderson, Milner, and the three lads up front, Mane, you know, and Firmino was superb tonight. He took him off just before the end.
He was shattered at the end.
Well, but he did so much good work, and he was the one, if anybody, injecting a bit of poise and a bit of calmness into the game. So we have a lot to look forward to in the final. And, you know, it's great for Liverpool fans, and I'll have my shirt on in the morning, going down to the shops.
Very good. I'd like to see that. OK, let's hear from... Yeah, OK, Gabriel Clark asking the questions. Just, by the way, we were having a look beforehand at 2 nights in Kiev, if you're a Liverpool fan and thinking of going. Before the match, 2 nights in Kiev, €3,500. A few minutes ago, it's gone up to €6,100 for 2 nights in a hotel in Kiev. The flight is £800 as well, so it's a lot of money.
Well,
bargain.
They'll have 50,000 Liverpool supporters.
Oh,
they'll go even if they haven't got tickets.
Planes, trains, automobiles.
Yeah. That's what happened in Istanbul.
Yeah.
And a lot of them left when it was 3-0 at half-time, and they didn't see Liverpool to go on to perhaps the most famous European Cup victory.
Absolutely. Well, everybody will be staying right till the end in Kiev, particularly if you've paid over £6,000 for 2 nights in a hotel.
Carvajal was injured. And Marcelo, the left-back, you know, he's a brilliant attacking player, but he doesn't really bother about defending. So they have issues. They have also issues in midfield. And Zidane made some controversial decisions. He left Casemiro out last night, a holding midfield player. He had to bring him on in the end. But it'll be an interesting final.
Could be a cracking final, a real open final. But let's hear, as he said, it's done. That is it from us tonight. My thanks to Richie, to Liam and to Eamon for their company here in studio. Now we know the teams for the final in Kiev on Saturday, the 26th of May. The next few weeks will be full of nostalgia as Liverpool meet Real Madrid in a repeat of the 1981 final. It's the biggest night in European football, a one-off, and the winner takes it all.